12 years ago, Violet had to lay her 6-month-old son to rest after he was brutally beaten to death by a caretaker. The infant suffered a fractured skull and at least 17 broken ribs. But even though a man is currently serving 25 years in prison for this crime, Violet's sister, Mioshin, believes Violet was involved in this baby's death. Take a look.
I need to know what happened to my nephew. He was only 6 months old. I only met him twice. He was beaten, brutally murdered. Some guy my sister was dating hurt him bad, but I think that my sister knows more than what she's putting on. My nephew had 10 broken ribs, blunt trauma to the head, and he was only 6 months old. The autopsy said that the baby's ribs were in 10 to 17 different stages of healing. So that means that he has been abused maybe from birth. She had to know that the baby was being abused. She had to. Why wouldn't you? She's not taking no responsibility, period, for it. Like if I found out today, if she murdered my nephew, because it do angers me, but it hurts. It more hurts than anger because that's my nephew. I didn't get to hold him. I held him once, but not hold him, play with him, touch him. I didn't get to do none of that. I can't even remember, really, besides that one picture that we had, what he looked like. It won't even bother me that she go to jail because she deserved to be there. Because you allowed this to happen to your son. If you didn't do it, you allowed it to happen.
Violet, tell me what happened to your son.
I left my son in the care of a family member, which would care for him a lot. I proceeded to go to work. I got a phone call from one of my family members stating to me that my son had stopped breathing. That right there was like kind of normal to me because 2.5 weeks prior to that, my son was diagnosed with bronchitis. He was back and forth to the hospital his whole life for breathing. As far as in my son being beat to death, I didn't find out none of this, Steve, until the day I had to take my lie detector test.
Here's a list of injuries, and it is quite shocking when you think of a 6-month-old baby, this happening to it. Mm-hmm. At 6 months old, he had 17 fractured ribs. 5 ribs were broken that day. The other ribs were at different stages of healing. He had abrasions on his chin, recent contusions on his chest, 2 skull fractures, facial trauma. Doctor states rib fractures weren't easy to achieve. Skull had to be impacted with an object or an against an object.
As far as in my son being beat to death, Steve, 2.5 weeks prior to that, my son had to have x-rays of his chest for them to tell me that he had bronchitis. I'm not a rocket scientist and I don't have no degree as being no doctor, but in order for you to tell me, you know, something's wrong with my baby lungs, you had to look at his rib cage.
You don't believe your son was injured?
No, I'm not saying I don't believe my son was injured, but in different stages of healing, 2.5 weeks prior to that, they would have been able to see then.
Now, there's a man who is currently serving 25 years in prison for second-degree murder. Do you believe that this man caused the death of your son?
Yes, I believe that he caused the death of my son.
Did you know who this man was?
Do I know who he was?
Did you know who he was? The man that went to jail for 25 years?
I was dating him, but he didn't stay with me.
The man who took the plea said that you left the baby with him.
Yeah, that's what he said.
He says, hey, yeah, she left him with me, and I did it, and he took a plea of 25 years.
Okay.
You know, they interviewed everybody in this story. They cleared this family member that you keep talking about.
No, they did not clear him.
They did clear him.
No, they did not.
Did he go to jail?
No, they didn't. He didn't go to jail because of the simple fact I would not give them the okay to.
Well, you
go
don't really
to that
need
point.
to give the police the okay to send somebody to jail.
No. They interviewed him and the guy.
Right.
Why did this person come back inconclusive? That means that you're not telling the truth about something.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't?
No, it doesn't.
What's inconclusive?
Well, when you're done with this show, you should get a dictionary and look it up, and it'll tell you what it means.
Okay.
Now, your sister, who I know that you never had a very good relationship with, she thinks that you knew that this man was abusing your son.
Okay, for my sister to think that, I have no idea why, because if you felt like I was hiding so much and things like that, why? And I said, why wouldn't you been there for me when I needed you? She didn't come to the wake, she didn't come to the funeral, she didn't do nothing.
Well,
why?
let's find out. Here's me Ocean.
So you feel like, no, bitch, I beat your ass.
You killed my nephew.
Bitch,
You
stop
left
lying.
him dead.
Stop
in the
lying.
bed
Show
with
me
that
the
boy.
proof.
You
Right
keep
there.
talking
Take
about
her
my
off the
nephew.
stage for a little time being.
We're talking about my nephew.
Girl, please.
Personally, I think she did it. And I know her, she's a liar. She don't know how to accept responsibility when something
So you
happens.
think that she personally caused some of those
Yes,
injuries to your
I
nephew?
do. I really, really do, just because of her temper. She left that baby with the guy.
I want to read this statement, and I hope that Violet can hear this. Detectives also interviewed her coworker. One coworker states she told Violet she needed someone else to babysit her kid because every time she came home, something happened to the baby.
If she didn't do it with her own hands, she knew what was going on.
So you do think that she possibly
yes.
was also abusing this child?
Yes.
All right, Violet, you took a lie detector test, and I guess the reason for the show...
This is my second lie detector test.
Okay. Well, this is the only one I'm concerned with. I find you very uncooperative.
It doesn't matter.
And on a certain personal level, I don't like you.
You don't have to like me. Nobody.
So Violet came here and took a lie detector test, and we asked her, did you ever physically abuse your 6-month-old son before he died? She answered no. Did you cause the injuries that killed your 6-month-old son? She answered no. Did you ever witness anyone else physically abuse your 6-month-old son before he died? You answered no. Did you leave your son in the care of the boyfriend on the day he died? You answered no. Did you have any prior knowledge that your boyfriend had been physically abusing your son? You answered no. The results for your lie detector test are countermeasures attempted and purposeful non-cooperation.
That's a lie.
I'm doing this interview from the very beginning, and I see
Child, please.
she's not cooperating. She doesn't want to tell the truth.
No,
you can
the truth
see
is what I'm gonna
the
tell.
lie is easing out of her.
You think that
and
y'all can say what y'all
as you
wanna
know,
say.
and we just
That does
talked
not
about
bring me
a
down.
little while
God
ago,
knows the truth.
countermeasures.
So she came here, and before any guest flies out, they're told do not use illegal drugs. So Violet smoked a little marijuana. She took a prescription pill. Her charts are showing me physiological tracings that are unreadable because, in my opinion, of doing thousands of polygraph tests, she has other drugs in her system. I asked her to take a drug test, and she refused multiple times.
No. he asked me
So
once.
when you come here, act like this, do drugs, produce charts that are indicative of drugs, I look at that as countermeasures to try to possibly beat the test
How?
and also purposeful
How? When I brought my-
non-cooperation.
I brought
So
my
basically, she
prescriptions
came
with
here to
me.
waste everybody's time.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much.
She picked a man over her son.
If that's what y'all want to believe, it's
She
fine.
let the little boy that she brought into the world suffer.
Oh, really?
And suffer almost every day of the short life that he had. And I hope when you go back home, some detective might see this show.
No,
or
they
some
don't have to see it.
policeman.
I actually will go to
And
the
I
detective
hope they
office
will
and I will
reopen
call
the
you
case.
and let you see
And the
that I
next
am not
call
guilty.
I get from you,
I will call
I
you.
hope
No,
is
it's not gonna be from your jail.
Get
No.
the hell off my stage.
And bitch, you gonna see me, ho. You gonna see me.
And you know what? She got no regret. You think when she puts her head on that pillow at night, she's feeling pain. Remorse? Hell no. The real justice in this case would be that the police department, a detective would say, you know what, I'm going to look back into this.
I wish
I'm going to
they
get to
would.
the bottom of it.
I wish they would.
Yeah.